I'm Maya. I'm a mum of two. Both my children were breech during birth, so I've had two planned caesarean sections, both of which have been great experiences. My daughter is 2.5 now, and my youngest little boy even is just 2 weeks old today. With my daughter, when I found out she was breech, like I said, at about 37 weeks, the first thing we did was book in a ECV to try and turn baby. But baby didn't turn, unfortunately, and that was when we thought, okay, we need to think about what our options are now, whether I go down the route of having a planned caesarean section or actually think about continuing with a natural breech birth. I tried everything at home that I could to turn baby, so I spent lots of time on all fours. I was upside down, like I think it's the ironing board move or something. Tried lots of things to turn baby, but she didn't want to turn. And I really thought hard about having a natural breech birth. I really wanted to have a natural birth. I'd had my heart set on it. I'd been doing hypnobirthing for a while up to that point as well. But it kind of just got to a point where I was actually just ready to meet my baby, and I didn't want to think about how baby was going to come anymore. I just wanted my baby here, so I decided to have a planned caesarean section, and to make that as empowering and personal an experience as I could, and have as much as what I've wanted during my natural birth in the planned caesarean. So I spent quite a bit of time thinking about what my different birth preferences would be, and had a look at kind of different ideas I could find online. The team were really, really supportive, so I asked for things like the IV to be in my non-dominant hand, so my left hand, so that my right hand was free to take baby, to hold baby. I put my gown on backwards, so it would open at the front instead of the back, just so my chest could be a little bit more free for when baby came. I spoke to them about having the ECG dots slightly more on my back than on my front, again to help baby when he came onto my chest. Asked about lights being dimmed, having my own music, and probably what was most important to me was around baby coming out as naturally as possible. So replicating, I suppose, a natural birth as much as possible by bringing the baby out quite slowly, and leaving the vernix on when the baby came onto me as well, to try and have that skin to skin time as much as possible. It's really important that women remember that we've got a choice in every single stage of the birth experience, and that helped me a lot to kind of get over not having that natural birth and actually putting my energy into, well, now I've got a planned C-section, what can I do to make that a really, really good experience? I suffer from thalassemia trait, which is a blood disorder. And normally it doesn't really cause me any problems, so I basically run on a lower hemoglobin level than most people do, and I'm used to it. But during pregnancy it drops quite drastically to dangerous levels, and so in both pregnancies I've had blood transfusions every month. The first time round it was really frightening actually, because I'd never even been into hospital for anything. So going in for a blood transfusion, now I look back, it's super simple. I get 2 hours actually to just relax on my own in hospital, which I can't complain about. But it was really frightening the first time round because I just didn't know what to expect. And so both of my journeys have been quite interesting, that I've had to go in every 4 weeks, have blood transfusions. It meant that whilst I wasn't at any higher risk of losing blood during birth, that because I was going in with a lower blood level, any risk of blood loss would be more catastrophic to me than I suppose somebody else. And then I guess tying that in with babies being breech as well has just meant that my plans have this time, I suppose, remained a lot more fluid than they did the first time round. And I've been a lot more understanding of it. Whilst you might not know that you have thalassemia trait, like I do, you are tested in your early antenatal appointments. So I think it's in your first booking appointment that you're tested for thalassemia trait. And it doesn't mean that you would have to have a blood transfusion throughout. I think my case might be slightly rarer than others, but finding out from the blood test that they will do will at least help you to understand if there are any extra steps that you need to take. I also have blood transfusions in labour as well, in birth as well. So after my caesarean sections, I lost over 2.5 litres the first time round, and 1.5 litres this time round. So I have blood transfusions in theatre as well. But to anybody that does, to any women that do suffer from thalassemia trait, it doesn't mean that you'll necessarily have the same experience as me. But if you do have to have blood transfusions, don't be worried or scared. It's so normal, and actually it's such a relief, because you will feel your energy levels dip, and the blood transfusions help hugely to keep you going throughout your pregnancy and throughout your birth. So don't be worried about them at all. They're so normal, I suppose, as part of being in hospital. I've had a really good recovery with both of my planned caesarean sections, so with both of my children. After about 12 hours in hospitals, so 12 hours after birth, I was kind of getting ready to try and stand up and walk on my own a little bit and have the catheter removed. With my first daughter, I stayed in hospital for 2 nights, but with my little boy, I just stayed in for 1 night. And the recovery with both has been absolutely fine. Having my husband to support me at home, or having some support at home, whether that's your husband or somebody else, is really important, just to be able to have that time to kind of rest and recover. The first time with my daughter, I bounced back quite quickly. This time I was determined to take it easy a lot more, especially with it being a second caesarean section. But the recovery has been great. So when I reflect back on both of my birth experiences, I'm really positive about them. Hypnobirthing has made a huge difference to me the first time round, and the second time round I found the Positive Birth Company, and I did the digital pack online, and it refreshed everything for me and put me in that same frame of mind that I had with my first daughter, which was just to be really positive and feel empowered and ask questions and do your research. And all of those things have helped me to have a really positive experience both times around. Whilst I've had 2 planned caesarean sections, and they were definitely not what I had in mind when I was pregnant, and the fact that I wanted to have really natural births if possible, I still have no complaints whatsoever. I was worried that having a caesarean section would make me feel maybe less like I'd birthed my own daughter or my son, but it's surprising how once they're out and they're on your chest, you just quickly forget all of that. It really doesn't matter how they arrive in the world, as long as they arrive safely and you are safe.